All right, we're in the live zone. Augie, thanks for joining us once again. Um,
You're welcome.
we're trying to work out some details of a new shooting situation here, so
Great.
I appreciate your joining us. And let me get you as big as possible here.
You good?
Let's say, yes, sir. There you are. Cool. So I want to give them big enough to see you as you're speaking. So I think we're good. Now I'm on an. Let's do this. Okay. I don't want those items to be a distraction to your comments. So
Nope.
perfect. Great. So I think we're in good shape here. Everyone can
Okay.
see me, but I want you guys to see Augie instead of me.
All
So,
right.
all right,
I
Augie.
guess-
So
Go
let's.
on.
Well, I enjoyed your comments from yesterday regarding the fact you can see a deal impending. So, where do you want to start on the legal review today?
Well, let me just give you a quick overview. Since we've had almost a couple of days to try to figure out what was Tesla doing by filing the lawsuit. Initially, there was a thought that there'd be a request for a TRO, a temporary restraining order, which can be secured if you can show some supporting facts that warrant securing an ex-party temporary restraining order without notice. That was not the case. We were fortunate enough, I was fortunate enough to download the docket sheet from the Tesla versus Alameda County.
What's the docket sheet, by the way?
A docket sheet is all the pleadings that are filed in court.
Mm-hmm.
And as I had indicated when we were interviewed, I did not see any motion for temporary or preliminary injunctive relief. So I was wondering if that could have been done separately. Typically, when you do a request for injunctive relief, it's a verified complaint or a verified affidavit that supports a injunctive relief request. That was not the case in the filing of Tesla. Furthermore, it was simply the 18-page complaint. What was interesting and what I learned early this morning is that the complaint was released by the law firm to the media. As soon as they filed it, they released it to the media, indicating that they wanted to get some press out of this. Tesla wanted this lawsuit to go national, to get media attention, which they did. What they did not want, however...
Hang on a second, though. At that point, I'm wondering why would a firm, what is the usual process? And I guess the usual process would be to file it quietly. And what's the benefit of filing quietly?
Well, you file it just in regular course of doing business, and if the client wants to release it in a press release, they can do this. Mm-hmm. But I read a headline or an article that said that the law firm released the complaint, which indicates to me they wanted to get some publicity out of this. And Tesla did too, the law firm did too, and they got it. They got both. Because as you know, over the weekend, there was tremendous interest pertaining to the lawsuit. And yesterday, it was reported across national wires and on TV and all the channels about Tesla's lawsuit. What was interesting was that there was no request for a preliminary injunctive relief. And the docket sheet, which is filed, which is kept by the court, and I saw it as early as last night around 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, nothing else had been filed. The matter had been assigned to magistrate judge. His name is Hickson, Thomas Hickson, Hixson, out of the San Francisco Bay Area. And luckily, he keeps his calendar posted. So you can see what hearings are scheduled for this week and next week. I reviewed it 3 times. Last night and twice this morning, and there is no hearing scheduled pertaining to the Tesla versus Alameda County lawsuit. No conference, nothing. What does that mean? To me, that means they don't want to go in front of the judge. They're happy just having filed a lawsuit to really force a settlement from the county. So you then go to the lawsuit, the complaint, and review it. And when you look at it carefully, it is based on 3 counts: a due process claim, an equal protection claim, and a preemption claim. The strongest argument is the due process claim, which basically says is that there's ambiguity between the county order and the governor's reopening order, and the claim by the county that they are able to impose criminal sanctions, which is outside of the parameters of what they can do, which is countervention of statutory law, which raises the whole issue that this county order, the third county order to limit reopening of the factory, is ambiguous. So there must be some concern on the part of the county for not wanting to go into court and seek injunctive relief on their own that Tesla has violated the county order. They didn't do that. They could have done it yesterday, since it was reported nationally that Tesla had reopened. That tells me that there's a second or a third course of action that's being taken, which is reach a settlement. And so I expect that there's going to be a settlement sometime today or early Wednesday.
Well, now, hang on. Why would they want to settle that quickly?
Because I don't think they want to go into court. Because if they end up litigating this, they may lose. And that would set a bad precedent. They may lose on the due process. It may not be for seeking injunctive relief, but it could be litigating the whole case. So I think there's some possibility that Tesla could prevail on that particular count, on the due process claim, that it is ambiguous. And obviously, if they felt that strongly, the county would have been pushing for some form of relief in front of the U.S. District Court, in front of the magistrate.
By the way, you mentioned that it's important to note that there's a magistrate that was selected and not a judge.
It was assigned to a magistrate.
It was assigned.
It's not selected. Selected would mean that the parties agreed to a magistrate, which is another interesting point. Typically, cases are filed in federal court, and there's a lot of cases that are filed, and mostly those cases initially could be assigned to a magistrate. When they are assigned to a magistrate, the parties have a right to have any dispositive matters, any motions that are of a substantive nature, to be decided by the U.S. District Court judge. That issue had not been resolved yet either. That leads me to believe it was a great move by Tesla. They didn't seek any injunctive relief. They're claiming that the county order is ambiguous. So what do they do next? They continue status quo, continue reopening.
So I guess at this point, we should ask the question, what are the possibilities in terms of what's happening? In my gut, what seems to be occurring is if the county chooses, so the county has options. They could send the police down to pick up Elon. Is that a possibility? And how might that work?
Well, to pick him up would suggest that he violated some criminal ordinance or law, since they're claiming that the county cannot impose criminal sanctions on their third county order. That would lead me to believe that they don't feel they're in strong footing to do exactly that.
Wow. So basically, Elon isn't going to get arrested for that.
I don't believe he'll be arrested. I think that, if anything, it was reported about 3 hours by the Bay Area that Tesla has submitted plans already yesterday by 5 o'clock regarding reopening. and their safety measures that they were instituting.
Mm-hmm.
So I expect that's already in the county, and the county's reviewing it, and they're probably going to reach some settlement.
You mentioned settlement several times. You know, at this point, the agreement they were working on was to allow Tesla to open by the 18th anyway.
Correct.
And Elon's strategy is to figure out how to get more days of production, because I really think he knows about the S&P entry and the value of those extra days of production. So what I'm wondering about is, you know, is there an unclean hand phenomenon there of him saying, well, I've been producing all the way up to the 18th? I mean, you talked about the unclean hand phenomenon, and
I argue unclean if you're going to court. Here, you're really just looking for a settlement. How do both sides come out a winner? That's what a settlement is for. You give up. Each side gives up something to give the appearance that you have reached a settlement that addresses both sides' needs. And I think that's really where the focus is right now. So it's not an issue of unclean hands anymore.
Wow. I guess the other thing I'm wondering, well, you know, back to the lawsuit, the fact that Tesla filed, does that set up how one, you get a federal venue automatic? So if the county elected to sue, they would have to go and respond to Tesla's arguments in federal court rather than county court. Is that correct?
Sure. They were first to court. Okay. They got to court first. They chose the venue, which was the U.S. District Court of the Northern District of California. So they got control of the venue, and I think that was a smart move by Tesla. They removed it from the county, which was more favorable to the county if it had been in a state court.
So, kind of, I'm wondering, where do we go from here? Does Tesla get back to full production in your mind? And obviously, it's going to hit the stock strong because S&P becomes a real possibility. A whole bunch of new things come up positively for Tesla.
I totally agree. I think everything is positive for Tesla. I think that from a non-legal perspective, they're just gaining traction. I think in our conversation, you indicated, based on you following Tesla, that it would take them approximately 5 to 7 days to ramp up. So these days are critical for them in ramping up, getting themselves ready as well as instituting their safety measures that they need to show the county, so they're fully ready to go into high gear. If they're producing close to 10,000 vehicles a week, they should be ready in another week to do just that. Wow.
You know, one thought that came to mind is, how does the ordinance affecting Tesla affect suppliers? Most of the suppliers that are, you know, like the Gigafactory supplier in Reno, they're up and running, I believe. But the question is, what if they were suppliers to Tesla that were in these counties? Are they able to ride Tesla's coattails into these production activity?
I would think so. I don't think that the county would discriminate and favor one manufacturer over other businesses. So I think that obviously they're asking every essential business or non-essential business to submit certain plans for reopening. So Tesla is supposed to have done that by 5 o'clock Pacific time yesterday. I would expect that other suppliers would also be lining up to do the same thing so they could reopen earlier than May 18th, for example.
Wow.
Basically saying is everyone's expected to follow the same guidelines. And Tesla's saying we're following those guidelines that the county's asking of us. Well, since we believe this county order is ambiguous, we're continuing to reopen.
I did a sort of trade blast this morning related to the fact that one of the only alligators facing Tesla is there actually have been employees who actually called in and indicate Tesla was not following those those mandates when it came to employee safety. I'm just wondering if those employees showed video or pictures of that not being followed, might that affect the entire situation?
Well, I'm sure that that could come into play, but you have to look at the overall everything that come, all the different factors. It's just not a couple employees. What about other employees? I'm sure they're going to do a walkthrough. I'm sure the county is prepared and they know exactly what they need to do. Mm-hmm. And it's not uncommon during this time and period that there's going to be individuals who are going to be dissenting from what Tesla's doing. Mm-hmm. That is not surprise. Just the fact that there may be 2, 3, or 4 out of how many employees? They got 10,000 employees. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the county has to look at everything mm-hmm. holistically to determine what's the best course of action that they're going to take. Has Tesla implemented safety measures, guidelines, protocols to ensure that the safety of the workers are maintained? Mm-hmm. If they then they'll take appropriate action. Now, whether how quickly they will do it, I think they're moving quickly. I think there's listening to what I heard the county supervisor Scott Haggerty indicate. I think they have a high interest in trying to reach a settlement. Mm-hmm. So they want to come out a winner too. So they want to be able to say, hey, the infection rates come down, the death rates coming down, and also Tesla has great protocols in place to allow us to give them the okay sign to go ahead.
What are your thoughts on the fact that the governor didn't know that Tesla had reopened? I guess the county didn't know either, I would assume, because Elon wasn't broadcasting it.
Well, I don't. You know, when it comes to politics, I heard about the governor indicating that he wasn't aware. I think his interest is he wants to keep the business in California. So I think he has a great interest to have the county be happy and Tesla and keep Tesla happy. Mm-hmm. So I think behind the scenes he's working to address the needs of both parties.
That makes sense. Definitely. I know you're, sometimes when you do interviews, you're supposed to do disclosures. And so you have to disclose the fact that you're a Tesla fan and an investor. Is that correct?
I am. Mm-hmm. I do own some shares in Tesla. These are my opinions. Mm-hmm. And obviously I could be somewhat biased. Mm-hmm. But I was very much intrigued by why Tesla had not sought a TRO or temporary restraining order. And now it becomes clear. They just wanted to get an upper hand. They wanted to get the attention. They believed that there was ambiguity in the county order, and I think that exists. But back to my interest, yes, I do have a stake in Tesla. I am an investor, and so of course my opinions are just my opinions, and they might be biased and tainted by virtue that I'm an investor.
Mm-hmm. Do you think, thank you. Do you think that there's it sounds like Tesla has its bases covered. What I mean by that.
I think so too.
Yeah, what I mean by that is that, if you look at the list of if-thens, Tesla seems to have it covered. If they have a response lawsuit, they're ready to go to court. If they choose to negotiate, they have that covered as well successfully. I think that's really hitting the stock right now, and it seems I'm impressed by how wise this seems, given that Elon can seem to be off the cuff and kind of crazy on occasion.
I think it was on reflection, and of course we're doing Monday morning quarterbacking. It was a brilliant move. Mm-hmm. It was a very smart move to just file the complaint, get the attention, and let it ride. Mm-hmm. And you can definitely tell that when you look at the docket sheet, you look at the calendar of the magistrate judge, nothing has been scheduled. Mm-hmm.
Who determines? Isn't it the judge that determines the scheduling, or is it the?
Well, no, I think that yes, the judge will determine. Of course, they have some guidelines to follow, but when there's a high priority and you want to get in front of the judge, you will ask for an emergency hearing, and you will make your case. In this case, there's nothing like that shows up in this week's schedule of conferences and motions that the judge has scheduled, which leads me to believe they didn't do that
Interesting.
at all. And on the other hand, if the county was that concerned that Tesla was reopening and they had violated county orders and they should and Tesla should be sanctioned, they would be in arguing for an emergency hearing to seeking their own injunctive relief. They're not there either. That's not the case. Nothing has been filed.
Wow. I guess the only other surprise I see here is that Tesla's been in negotiations for a while, and it seems to me the negotiations weren't going Elon's way, if you will, in that they weren't given permission to open, and therefore he decided to use the legal route to get an upper hand in those negotiations in case it became litigation.
I think it was not only to get an upper hand in negotiation, but going back to what you just said. Look, he can count the days of production. If he can shave off days from May 18th, you know how many vehicles he can produce daily, what that translates to in revenue per day, what that translates to the burn rate, and that's significant. So 3, 4, or 5 days you shave off May 18th is a tremendous plus for Tesla and Musk.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Wow. Well, Augie, I'm happy to have you share any other thoughts that you might have. After listening to you and watching what's going on with Elon, I could really see why the stock price is moving right now. And I think this really suggests good things, because if Tesla can, in essence, get 3 weeks of this month and all of June to produce to try to get the numbers they need for Q2, I think they're in great shape to try to make it.
I hope you're right. It sounds like that's where they're going. And I think, like I said again, I think Musk can count. He can count dollars. He can count production. So he knows what he needs to do. And I think that they offered him May 18th, and that was 10 days longer than he wanted, because he wanted to open May 8th. Anything short of that is a plus for him.
Wow.
And he's already doing that. He's gaining that traction.
Wow. Well, Augie, I know you've got pre-open work to do to prepare.
Yep, absolutely.
I appreciate your taking time out from your trading day schedule and other activities to join us once again. And we look forward to an exciting trade day with Tesla doing well, given that it's up $20 already pre-market. I think everything that you just said suggests we're going to have a very strong. Augie, can we get your name and also your email again in case,
Sure.
and also where you practice law?
Yeah, I practice. I'm an attorney. I practice in Michigan, headquartered in Detroit. My email is AARB like boy, ULU at AOL.com. AARBULU at AOL.com. I welcome any emails or any comments.
Terrific. Thank you again, Augie, for the help. We'll be in touch, and I look forward to our conversation this morning to see what you guys are going to do. It's going to be a wild day. Indeed.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you again. Have a good day.
You're welcome.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Wow. Well, thank you all for joining us. Once again, this is Greg for Teslafaninsight. We appreciate Augie taking time out. Any comments would be appreciated after the show. I'm in a weird position here because I was sort of trying to find a better setup for sound, etc. Once again, best of luck in your activities on trading today. Don't forget 25 leg lifts, no more than once a week fried foods. Also encourage you to try to do, a little exercise, hopefully some weightlifting possibly. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, German, au revoir, French, lehitrot, Hebrew, choda hafez, Farsi, hey do, Swedish. Zdravstvuyte, Russian. Hello. Ni hao ma, Chinese. Have a great day. Bye for now. Thanks once again for joining us, and we look forward to an exciting trading day for everybody involved with Tesla. Bye for now.